What's up, guys? Welcome back to Everyday Money. I have not made a video on this channel for a long time, and the reason for that is because I really haven't had anything that I feel very, passionate about sharing with you guys. But just going over the news and stuff and the way the economic atmosphere is looking over the last 6 months, which has probably been about how long it's been since I've made this video. The thing is that I've just been very thinking about this, and if you guys are out there right now and you are working a job where you're paid by the hour or you're paid a fixed salary, you guys have been struggling hard. And I'm going to tell you this right now from the bottom of my heart, because I've been thinking about this for just general people out there, for, people that I know, for my children, for, other folks. If that is the way that you make your money right now, you are completely screwed. And there is a lot of reasons that I say that, because you can look at me through the camera and say, well, Mike, we know that you have a good job. We know that you have real estate investments. We know that you're making money on YouTube. We know that you are have stock market investments that typically do pretty well. Even though right now it's down, I'm still up in my VTSAX because I got in over so long ago, and it's grown over time. But what I have is essentially a dual life financially. So I live basically two worlds. On the one hand, I run my entire life, day to day, all my bills, home, auto, everything, with strictly W-2 income. All of the other money that I get from my Airbnb rentals, from YouTube, from any of that all gets reinvested. All of my Airbnb profits get reinvested back into the stock market. Anything that I make from YouTube gets reinvested back into YouTube, be it on this channel, be it on my Rugged Adventures channel where we do like firearms and outdoor stuff, or the new channel Airbnb ABCs where I try to tell people how to make passive or semi-passive income with Airbnb. But on the other hand, I have a W-2 income. And when I first started my first full-time job back in like 2005, I was only making, like $25,000, maybe a little bit less than that. Fast forward just a short 17 years later, and I'm making about $100,000, give or take, in any given year. And when I look at that, and I do my bills like normal, and having 3 kids and a house and 2 cars, the typical family setting, I feel broke on that side quite a bit of times. The money comes in, it goes right back out, and I have actually a very reasonable mortgage, and so when I look at that $100,000 that I make every year, and what some folks out there are getting, if you're getting paid, $20 now, it's $40,000 a year, $30 now, $60,000 a year. I can understand the reasons why you guys are struggling so hard. And on top of that, student loans and all the other stuff that you may have racked up, regardless of if it's right, wrong, or indifferent, how folks got there. And so if you're just working on a salary only and you're not investing or anything like that, it is going to be extremely hard. When we look at how we got here, you have to go back to just before the great financial recession, because that is where the problems with the housing market started. And it doesn't really matter how the financial crash happened. If bad loans were given, if it was the bank's fault for giving bad loans, if it was people's fault for taking the bad loans, if the government was forcing the banks to give bad loans, that doesn't make any difference, because it's all in the past and it's done. After we had gotten through the crash, where the stock market went down 50%, the real estate market went down 20%, there was foreclosures, everything was nuts, we stopped building houses. Pretty much the United States home building just dried up, and it did that until now. We're still not back to where we were building houses before the crash. And so we've had this housing shortage forever. And then we kept interest rates extremely low to stimulate the economy over the course of 15 or so years, right? And so then we get into this pandemic. And with the pandemic, and again, it doesn't really matter why it started, who did what, if it was Trump, if it was Biden, if it was Democrat, Republican Congress, it happened. And I'm actually just now getting over COVID myself, so I'm a little scratchy and such. When you look at what we did during the pandemic, for one, we printed trillions of dollars, and that's going to increase inflation. We lowered interest rates again to literally historic lows. And I mean, my interest rate on my mortgage is 2.875 for 30 years. It's insanity. That, hyperinflated the housing market, in addition to having no supply and making credit incredibly cheap, it made that amount go through the roof. And so now what we've done is after we've printed all this money, after we've shut down the world and have now supply chain issues, pretty much everywhere, we've created a shortage of goods and stuff, and people want to buy that. And they were given, stimulus checks, and people were able to save money because they weren't driving to work, they weren't eating out, they weren't doing a bunch of stuff. And so now they're buying everything up. So inflation is through the roof. And so that is what is going to squeeze your income for the next 10 or 15 years, because inflation right now, we're looking at 8 or 9%, depending on, what month we're comparing it to last year. That is done. Like, it's never coming back. There has only been 1 year, and since the start of the Great Recession, and I didn't look any farther back than that, where we have had a negative inflation rate. So it deflated some, and it was in 2009, and it was like 0.1%. Every other year, inflation has still been positive, even though the economy was going down. And so when you bake on this extra 8, 9% for these, for this year, possibly next year, it is going to take probably 10, 15 years for us to actually get that inflation level back down to the 2% or so that they say that it needs to get to. Those pressures are going to be baked in, and we're never going back to that. And it's going to take a long time for your wages to come up to those levels to recover from back in the day. So here is where you have to start making money without working. If you just continue to rely on your salary, you're always going to be behind. You're always going to be not able to, comfortably make ends meet. It's not ever going to be comfortable. You need to either take a bunch of your money and invest it into something like stocks that are going to continuously go up over time, or you're going to need to start some sort of business that allows you to make money without working. This doesn't include like starting your own business and then working in it, like cutting grass all the time. That is still you trading time for money. It is still going to be, you're going to have a limit on how much you can make, a limit on how much that you can do. If you start that lawn care business and then you you are able to hire folks and you can, leverage their time to make you money, that is how you're going to be able to get ahead. If you, rent out rental properties, depending on long-term, short-term, doesn't make any difference. That is how you are going to be able to get ahead. But you have to do something besides the traditional go to school, go to college, get a job, work, and have a comfortable retirement, because it just simply isn't going to work anymore like that. And I hate to say that, but we have to be honest with each other that those sorts of things aren't going to work. If you look at what your 401k would be if you had $1 million at the end of your career, you would be getting $40,000 a year at the typical 4% return, 4% draw, with the minimal chance of you going bankrupt. $40,000 before taxes for that $1 million. That's not where I want to be. That's not where I think a lot of folks are going to want to be. And so, if you can come up with something, and I don't have all the answers for you, but you need to come up with some way for you to make money while you are not working and trading your time for that. Again, for me, I'm into real estate. I have, short-term rentals. I have these YouTube channels that produce income passively from stuff that I've already done. And I have my stock market investments that, consistently generate a return that's pretty predictable over the course of time. So guys, I appreciate it if you guys watch this video, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button for me, because the way that we've done things in the past is not going to work in the future. And if you're still clinging to that, I really hope that this can open your eyes and just kind of show you why we are where we are, where we're going, which is going to be more inflation for the time being. It doesn't matter whose fault it is, because it is happening, and what you can potentially do about it so that you are getting ahead, getting to where you want to be in your life with your financial goals. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you next time.